Okay, so I have a couple things that I want to go over with you guys as you are getting ready to, and as you're creating your models and your drawings for the Machine Vice project that we have. First of all, there was an issue with a couple of the borders that I gave you. I'm not sure what happened, but in the background, if you don't, aren't real careful to delete anything that is unhidden, for some reason, there was a model kind of in the background of the WCTC A templates for the 2 and the 3 view. So when a student was trying to bring them up, it was giving an error saying that model wasn't in their directory. So what I did was I kind of cleaned it out. I redid them and they are fresh templates now. So what you'll need to do is you will need to delete the ones that are in your current working directory if you already downloaded those. And then you're gonna have to re-download both the format files, the .frm, and also the template files that are down here, because these template files are the ones that you pull up for your border, but they reference these format files as well. So all 6 of these need to be downloaded into the same directory and in the same directory where you have your part files as well. So that working directory that you've been working out of is where you're going to want to put all 3 of these, but do a refresh on those by deleting out old ones if you in fact already downloaded those, because these are new as of today. So once you do that, and I have mine already downloaded, I do want to go over a couple of problems with you and just some reminders on how to properly pull these in and so that the borders work the way they're supposed to. So the part that I'm going to be first looking at here, it's a pretty small part. It's the set screw here, but it's got some threads on it. So I want to show you in the model in Creo how to model that, as well as put on what we call cosmetic threads so that they come in and draw correctly in the drawing border. I'm also going to go through the process of using our part number so that when the drawing border comes up, it populates in the right spot. Okay. And there's a couple other things on there too. There's a nice little detail drawing that I want, or a detail section that I want to show you and demonstrate for you as well. So I am going to pull up Creo. Just going to double check. I'm pretty sure I have my working directory set. I do. And I'm going to start by opening that 25040, which is the part number for the set screw. Okay. So as we look at that part number, or that parts, I already created this. Okay. I already created this, but I want to show you how to put the cosmetic threads on here. So cosmetic threads are threads that they're exactly that. They're kind of like phantom. They're there and we're identifying them, but they're not going to show up in the model, but they will show as the dotted lines, the simplified version of threads in the actual drawing itself. Okay. So so as we look here, the way that I created this model, I'll go up here. And I first created this revolve. All right. So I'm going to expand this. We're going to look at the sketch. Let me see here. Okay. And so I took the profile, I looked at the profile, and I just created a sketch. And how I created the portion that is threaded, which is this part right here, is I use the 0.216, which is the largest diameter there of that thread. Okay, so that's going to be the outside diameter, basically that largest diameter there, that's representing, if you would, the tips or the highest point, the major diameter on those threads. Okay, and then the rest of it was pretty basic, but I did revolve it around a center line. And once I did that, then I had this feature here. Then what I did is I put these cosmetic threads on. So I'm going to move this down one layer. Okay, and it doesn't really look like anything changed, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do a actually, I'm going to delete them and I'll re-put them back in. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say delete, and okay, so no, they're no longer in there. So how do we put them in? So we're going to go into, on the model ribbon here, there is an engineering section. We're going to down arrow there, and we're going to put in a cosmetic thread. cosmetic thread. So when I put the cosmetic thread in, I'm gonna select over here, not simple, but I'm gonna do standard thread. And that way it comes up with the list of all the different, like standard types of threads that we have for English and for metric. And what I'm going to do is I need to click the surface for which I want to add the cosmetic threads. So I'm just going to click on the outside surface of where I want those threads to occur. And so I selected that. And now you'll notice that I have the ability to pick the size that I need. So for this one, this is a UNC. And so that means Unified National Course. And then the thread size I can pick on this downward menu as well. Now, it doesn't tell you here, but a 0.216 is actually a number 12 thread. So you're going to notice here that we have a number 12-24. Okay, it's just a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch, but a little bit larger than a number 10, which is about 3/16 of an inch. So a number 12-24, we're going to click on that. And now it's going to know exactly, how deep those threads are going to be. Then you're going to notice down here, it says select a plane or a surface to specify the start location of the thread. So you want to just select one end or the other. Okay, so I selected this end right here. Okay, and then what it asks you to put in then is going to be how far do you want that to go. So if it's starting here and we look at the dimension and it really goes till the end, you can just put in 0.375. Okay, and that would be the depth. Or you can do reference to, and then that way if that dimension ever changes, you can just reference to and select that face as well. So now it'll always be between those two surfaces. And now you'll notice that it has all the information it needs and the green OK check mark becomes available and we just hit OK. Now you're going to look here, you're going to be like, yeah, it doesn't look like anything really happened. And you're kind of right. If you click on it, you'll kind of see the inside or what would represent the root diameter of what will be our hidden line simplified threads on our drawing, but we really won't see them until we do our drawing. So that'll come. And then you're going to notice that we also need to add the feature to the end here as far as that little cutout or that slot. So I will add that in now. And I'm going to do an extrude on this face. And I'm going to first project this radius and then hold the control key and that radius and hit the green check mark. Now that outer circle is in my sketch, and then I can grab the line and just go on the left-hand side of the center line here and then down, making sure that is nice and vertical. And now I'm going to select that line and I'm going to do a mirror over that center line. And then that way this, either side is always going to be, it's always going to be symmetrical about that. And then it's going to move evenly on either side. Then lastly, I'm going to delete segment this side, and that side. And I need to add the width. So I'm going to add a dimension here between here and here. And I'll put that up there. And that needs to be 0.031. Enter. Okay. And now I don't see any blue dimensions, which is good. I'm just going to double check that my feature requirements are met and it looks like they're good. And I'm going to hit OK. And now, I went in underneath the extrude, so it always wants to add material. I'm going to switch the direction here. It's going to remove material, and I need this depth to be 0.046. There we go. So that is in there. Okay. So kind of double checking, I'm peeking back at my drawing. It looks like I have all of my features in place. Okay. And so I'm going to do a quick save. I'm going to get rid of my sections here because I was playing around with this earlier. So I want to delete that. And there we go. That way it's fresh. I'll do one more save on this. Okay. And now I am ready to look at creating my drawing. So this will go through that process of pulling in the border. So I'm going to go to new, and now you don't have to have this model up if you don't want to. Okay, you can start a brand new drawing without having the model up. You can always select it in the process. So I'm going to hit drawing, and I'm going to click down here where it says use drawing model file name. So I'm going to hit click here. So the file name itself now is going to be what my model was. All right. And it's also going to be the part number. So if you recall, I named this 25040. Okay. So that's the file name. That's that I'm saving it as, so that it pulls it in as the part number on my border. So I'm going to hit OK. And this menu comes up. Notice that this would be where I could browse to find a different file if I wanted to. Okay. But it's the one that's here. And then it says specify a template. We want to use a template, and that's going to be the borders that I had you guys download, and it's going to be the template file. So you want to now pick, it's either going to be an A or there's an A2 view and an A3 view. Do not pick the A4 if you download that. That's part of the set there, because we're going to continue to use borders as we go through now. So I wanted you to have that metric border out there, but we want an A size border for an English border that's 8.5 by 11. And for this part, it's a small little part. 2 views will be plenty. So I'm just going to hit 2 views. If you pick 3 views, it's fine. You can always get rid of, because it'll be top, front, and right side view. This is going to be a front and a right side view by default. That's how the formatting is set up in the template. So I'm going to hit, did it go? Yep. And then it's going to populate here, and it's going to hit OK. And now it's going to create my drawing. Now, before I can start doing anything here, you're going to notice I don't have anything available ribbon wise, because it's asking me to fill in information for my title block. Notice down here, it already filled in my part number in the title block area. If I call it, for instance, set screw, and I save it as set screw is going to go into this part number area. And I don't want that to happen. That's why make sure that you're saving these as the part numbers. So it's asking me here to enter text for materials. So in the packet that I gave you if you were in class, or if you are pulling these up for the ones that are that don't have any dimensions from the assignment, you're going to notice that this set screw is SAE 1016 steel. You need to put that in the title block. So I'm going to go back over here, minimize that, SAE 1060, or I'm sorry, 1016, and then STL, or you can write out steel if you want to. Okay, that's going to populate there. Then you're going to put in your initials for drawn by, and then you're going to enter the part name. So this is the set screw. Okay. All right. So now as we look down here at our title block, set screw is the part name that we just put in, and the part number is going to be what you save the file as. That's why part number has to be what you save it as. The scale automatically goes in what it chooses. The date here, I don't like that that Creo does this, but the standard for this, it pulls it up as today's date. So it picks the day that you actually create it. And unfortunately, it's not all caps, which kind of drives me a little crazy, but it is what it is. The material is what we entered here. Make sure all of this is caps that you have control over. Okay. Now you're going to notice that this comes in a little bit differently than what it did when we were using kind of the generic templates that Creo had. So it already pulled in our dimensions for us, and it picked 2 standard views. So it's going to pick a front view and a right side view. Okay. You may not want that, but we can change it. And then we're actually going to be changing it for this one because it's not really the best view to use. So, what we're going to do first is we are going to turn off all of our axes that are here. So I'm going to turn these off by using that toolbar on the top. And now you'll notice it cleaned those up. So those can always come off. They're sometimes kind of get in the way, and it's kind of hard to look at if you would. There's also some dimensions here that we don't want, but I actually want to arrange my views first. with this being on the right-hand side, I do not see that cutout that I created, and I need to dimension that. So this would be a hidden line in this view, and I have to be able to, you know, be able to see it. So I'm actually going to delete this view. So I'm going to click on this view to select it, and I'm just going to hit the delete key, and it's going to go away. Okay. And then I'm going to select this view, and I'm simply going to move it. Oh, it's not going to let me until I unlock. So up here on the layout ribbon, you want to toggle to unlock the view movement. And now I can move it over. Okay. Now, something you're going to notice here as well, there are these dotted lines, okay? These dotted lines are there for reference, for you to place your dimensions around the part. They're a nice guideline for not getting too close or not getting too far away or having proper spacing between. So the dimension, it's a 1/2 inch from the edge of the part, and then it's going to be 3/8 of an inch between. And when you place dimensions, you're going to notice that you'll be able to snap to these lines. So, so if I select a dimension here and I just want to move it, when it gets close to it, it like snaps to it. And that's kind of a nice feature because then everything is going to be like even throughout. So that's what those are. Now I'm going to add a left side view instead. So on my layout ribbon here, I'm just going to click on projected view, and it's going to notice, oh, there's only that one other view. And I am just going to place it right about, I'm going to left click right about there. Okay. And then I'm going to, you know, unselect, left click, unselect. Now, right now, it's putting it in as a solid, and I don't want that. So I'm going to left click it. I'm going to go to properties, and this is where that familiar table comes up. And I'm going to go down to view display, and we're going to go to display style, and we want it to be hidden. So it's going to be a regular view, and then make sure that you turn your tangent edges off all the time. In this border, that automatically does that because the formatting is set that way. But if you create new views, you're going to have to select that. All right, so there is my left side view. Okay. Now, as we look here, you're going to notice that these dimensions are on here. So let's kind of take a peek at the ones that we want. This 0.216, this is that outside diameter. We're going to actually be adding the note for the thread as a note, not as a dimension to the outside diameter. So I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to delete it out of there because I won't be using it. This 0.3, oh, come on, let's move. I'm going to left click it, and this 0.031, that's the thickness of that cutout or that slot that we have. And all I want to do with this one is click off of it, go back on. I'm going to switch it to a different view. So I'm going to switch it to that left side view so that it's there. All right, we'll kind of pull that out in a way, and we'll fix that in a little bit. The other dimension I don't want is going to be this 0.177. That's the dimension to the threads. We don't want that in there. So what we will do is we will delete that out of there. There we go. Okay. And I think that looks good. I'm also going to put this back to, because I was playing around with this too, the nominal value. All right. Now, if you need to fix up or change any of the decimal places on the dimensions that come in, like for instance, this one is a 4-place decimal. It's looking weird. Needs to go on this side. There we go. It's a 4-place decimal, and we want it to be a 3-place decimal. You simply click it, and then the dimension ribbon comes up, and right about in the middle here, you have the ability to change the precision. And so we want this to be if I look at that detail, we want it to be to 3-place decimals. So we just click on the 1, 2, 3, and then you're all set there. Okay. So, so that's there. This one as well, this needs to be 3 places. All right. Now, if you want to select multiples, just like you select anything else, you can click on one, left click, but then hold the control key, and then you can continue to select more, and then you can change the precision for all of them at the same time. Okay. And now we're ready. We can also change the location of the placements here so that we get our gaps. So we select the dimension, we go up to that endpoint, and then we left click drag so that we end up with a gap. So that's there. And then this one also needs a gap. Drag and release, drag and release. Okay, this one has a gap and I'm looking, make sure you have your gaps. That's something I look for specifically. And then as far as tolerance, this one needs to have a limit tolerance. Now, the diameter that nominally it's going to be drawn to is whatever you draw it to in your models. And when you draw it, you're gonna see that it gives you the limits here. Hold on, I see that I have a question. Hold on. Could you show how you change the number of decimal places again? Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So to change the number of decimal places, you simply left click or select that dimension. And you're going to go up and in the precision area of your ribbon, you're going to down arrow, and this is what you can set your precision to. So if I want to go from 2 to 3 decimal places, I go to the 1, 2, 3, and now you'll notice it's 3 decimal places. And I believe it's supposed to be 2. So follow the decimal places that are on the drawing, and I've got to go to 2 here. Now it goes back to 2. Okay. Did that work for you, Chris? Okay, thanks. Good, 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 good. All right. And then, let me think, what was I going back to? Oh, okay, I was gonna go underneath. So, so you're gonna notice that there are some tolerances. Oopsie, doesn't look like this cake. Hold on. There are some tolerances that are on the drawings here. So here for that right end on my set screw, it has limits identified as the max at 1.42 and the min at 0.140. So you want to actually dimension this or create the model to be at the nominal size or the middle dimension. So I drew this at 0.141. Okay, that would be right in the middle here. So when I go back to my drawing, that's what it would be as a, you know, just a regular 3-place decimal. But I want this to show the limits of that tolerance. I don't want it to default to my title block. So I'm going to left click on the dimension ribbon comes up. And now I'm going to go to, you'll notice we are in the tolerance area. Right here in the tolerance area, I can add or subtract the limits here. So if I want to add 1/1000th of an inch onto this nominal, I'm going to put 0.001, enter. And then I want to subtract 1/1000ths to go down off of that nominal. So I get down to 0.140. So I'm going to go minus 0.001. Okay. And now to show those limits on, so it's taking that middle number and it's adding 1/1000th, and it's taking that middle number and subtracting 1/1000th. I'm going to go over here to tolerance, and right now it's on nominal. So it's just showing the 1 level or the 3-place decimal. I want it to be limits. Okay. And limits are when it's going to now show that high value and the low value, like how high can it go or how low can it go? All right. So, so that's how you get that in there. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. So that's going to be that portion. Now you're going to notice that we have these gray lines in the background. That's representing the simplified version of the threads. Okay. And we see that over here as well. We don't see them in this view or when we're looking at it in this view, because it's kind of like our sketch pad, if you would. But when we do a profile, they will be there. The last thing I need to add here is going to be my center lines. So to add the center lines, I'm going to go to the annotate tab. I'm going to select the first view. I'm going to hold control and I'm going to select the other view. And then this way I can go show model annotations. And I'm going to go all the way over to the right. And I'm going to look, here's one center line. I want to put that one in and the other center line. And I'm going to hit apply. And now those are in place for me. Okay. Don't forget your center lines. Don't forget your center lines. Just going to kind of peek here. Oh, I do need to add my note now for the threads. So let's do that because we don't have our threads identified because we didn't use the dimensions that they gave us. So to do that, I need to add a note, and I'm going to click on the note. So note is on the annotate tab. You're going to click note, and then you're just going to go and you're going to left click where you want to place it. And now a text box opens up. And I am going to add this is number 12-24. So the decimal equivalent for a number 12 screw is 0.216. Okay, so it's a number 12-24 space UNC -2A. That just means that it's an external thread. And then I'm going to left click outside of this. So right now it's just a note, but I need to add a leader to this so that it points to the threaded area to identify that as the number 12-24 UNC. So to do that, on this annotate tab, I'm going to use attach. Okay. I'm going to click on attach, and I thought there was going to be a little note here. Is it not? Is it on my other screen? Well, it's telling me down here, might be on my other screen. You might be getting, sometimes when I'm with two screens here, I feel like I'm not seeing it. Okay. But down here it says to select a detail item to modify its attachment. So we're going to click on the note. Here it comes. And then we're going to click on where we want it placed. So it's going to be on this outer surface, left click. And then we're going to go down here and I'm going to middle mouse button and to end it. And then you're going to notice I have one more thing to do. I'm just going to say done and return. And now when I kind of zoom in and out here, I've got the attached leader. So I'm going to do that again for you. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to delete it out of here. Let's do it again because it's a little bit finicky. So, so we're going to add the note first off of the annotate tab. We're going to place it, left click. You don't need to do anything with that box. Number 12-24 UNC-2A for the call out. And you're just going to left click outside to end that note. And now we want to attach this note to the side. We're going to hit attach. We're going to click the note first, left click. And then we're going to left click the bottom about where you want it to attach, and then you're going to middle mouse button to end that. And then one more time, there's going to be this little menu up here. You have to do done, return, and then you are all set. When you, I don't know why, but when you have to kind of zoom in and out to kind of get it back. So, so that's that. Any questions on adding that note? I know it's a little bit different, not a regular dimension. Okay. All right. So now we're at a point where we're ready to kind of be done with our drawing. Okay. So we're going to be saving this as a PDF, and we're doing a slightly different way than I showed you last time. So, so instead of, when we looked at it the last time, this was a file print. Now it should work exactly the same way, but for some reason it doesn't. When I talked to Tom, I'm like, hey, how do I get that to work? And he said, the trick is, instead of doing the print, we're going to go to save as. Don't click on save as, but when you hover over it, it's going to have export right here. And now we're going to export that, left click export. And we're going to make sure that PDF is clicked. Okay. And then we're going to hit export. All right. Unfortunately, it doesn't do a nice preview for us, but that's okay. We're going to export. And you're just going to give it a name. So it's going to go to your working directory and it's going to use that file name. And if you don't mind that, it's just going to add a PDF extension to it. So I'm going to hit OK here. And now it'll give me a preview. And I got to bring it over onto my screen. And this is what the PDF preview is going to be. So now we have our drawing border. We have all the stuff on the inside. And it's a nice check that you can just make sure that everything is where it should be. Okay. Oh, I forgot one thing on here. What did I forget? I do want you guys to add an isometric view here. So let's go back and do that. No worries. So I can just close out of my export. We'll get to do it a second time. No big deal. And on my layout tab on my drawing here, I'm going to add a general view. And I'm going to say, okay. And we're just going to click up in this upper left-hand corner here. Okay. And we are going to go to, it's going to be an isometric. We're going to go to view display. And I don't know, I like it to be no hidden. That's a personal preference. And then I also like no tangent edges. And we can hit apply and okay. And then that way we have a nice little view here. All right. So don't forget to do that. The other thing that's nice too, I'm going to left click on this one more time. In this case, we have plenty of room, but sometimes you may want to change the scale of it to be a little bit smaller up in the corner. It doesn't have to be as large as everything else. And so you can put a custom scale on here. So let's say I'm going to do, I'll do 2 just to do that. And then I can move this over to the side. I can hit apply and I can preview what that is. So I'm going to leave it a little bit smaller here. I'm going to say, okay, but always take the scale off. There's really no reason to have it up there. The extra view is just for, you know, clarity, for visualization purposes. So I always delete that. It's just information that's just not necessary. So always make sure that you take that off. And then now it looks good. I can do a file save on this, and it's going to go to my working directory because I want to save the actual drawing itself. And now I'm going to save that PDF again. So file, hover over save as, and then go down to export. And then you want to make sure that PDF is selected, and you can send it in any one of these formats, but PDF is what we're doing. And then we're going to export. And okay, it's going to ask me if I want to go over the top of it. Yes. And then it's going to give me that preview one more time. And now this time I can actually see my isometric up in the corner. So now this will save into your working directory or wherever you navigate to. This will be the file that you upload to the Dropbox for the assignment. Okay. All right. So so that's kind of a complete process using this file and adding the border and such. So any questions right now on this particular drawing? All right. All right. So then I'm going to close out of my export setup, and I'm going to do one more save on this. So I have my drawing saved, and then I can go ahead and manage my files, delete my old versions. Okay. And then I'm going to close. See, I gotta do that. Then I'm going to close and do the very same thing over here. Save, manage my file, delete my old ones. Okay. And then I'm going to do a close on that as well. And then one last thing, I'm going to manage my session and erase what's not displayed. Make sure you do that before you start, you know, your next model. So, so I am going to stop the recording here just so that we get, you know, that part on its own. And then I'll do another one